All right. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome back to our 5th edition of Talk It Tuesday with Travel Nevada, taking us on road trip adventures across an incredible state. And I am once again joined by Tracy Barnhouse and Jennifer Diaz, and they're going to take us through this final road trip edition of our series. We will have another edition, which I'll talk about in a little bit. In case this is your first Travel Nevada road trip webinar, I'm Corey Marshall. I'm the account director for Travel Nevada across Australia and New Zealand. And yeah, if everyone can just make sure that they can see us and hear us okay, if you can just let us know where you're calling in from in the chat pod, or just maybe click on the wave icon or a smiley face. That looks like everyone can hear okay. If you do have a headset today, it's the best way to hear. Of course, we're all excited with international travel in some of our instances on the horizon, and trips being booked out of obviously Victoria and New South Wales. Airline capacity kind of coming back into the Aussie market, and then New Zealand actually having dates on a calendar for reopening, which is the first for us. Let's just forget about Omni for now. I don't think anyone has enough research to know what that's going to mean for any of us, but hopefully it is, a weaker version of the COVID reality, and all this other talk is just talk. We'll know more soon, but regardless, Travel Nevada is committed to the Aussie and Kiwi market through this series. I have learned so much from Jennifer and Tracy as we've gone along, and it's going to give you, as our key trade partners today, the opportunity to learn about 2 final road trips, and that's our Rubies route and our Cowboy corridor. Basically, if you have any questions as we go along, go ahead and pop those into the chat box in the right-hand side, and I'll get Jennifer and Tracy to answer them as we go, or as you answer questions at the end. As a reminder, today's module are broken up into 3 question periods. So one set of questions I'm going to launch now, and it'll just get you some information from you of which road trips you've been on and or sold to your clients. After the first road trip that Jennifer and Tracy take you on, we're going to ask 3 questions about that road trip. And then at the end, we're going to ask 3 final questions. You must answer all the questions from the beginning to the end to qualify for today's spot prizes. So here are our questions. Question number 1, and go ahead and click right on the screen, yes or no. So have you been to Las Vegas? Yes or no. And then have you driven any of these iconic Nevada road trips, and select all that apply. So if you've driven multiples, you can select more than one in this instance, and go ahead and select all that you've driven yourself. And then have you sold any of these iconic Nevada road trips to your clients? And that's, of course, all of them that we were talking about over this series. So the Burner Byway, Cowboy Corridor, Death Valley Rally, ET Highway, Free Range Art Highway, Great Basin Highway, Lake Tahoe Loop, Loneliest Road in America, Neon to Nature, Rubies Route, or none of the above. So yeah, go ahead and answer those on the screen. And the last question, are you planning on attending all 5 road trip webinars and final trivia event hosted by Travel Nevada? That final trivia event, you're going to use all of the information that you've had from Jennifer and Tracy across the series, and we're going to use a live trivia-based platform with a leaderboard after every question and some great prizes up for grabs for our winners, first, second, and third at the end of the, yes, Karen, the date of the trivia event is December the 14th. So sticking with the Tuesday theme, where it's still going to be Talk It Tuesday, but it's going to be Trivia Tuesday. Tuesday, December 14th for us at the same time of day across Australia and New Zealand. Amazing. Well, we're almost there. Just give it a maybe 20 more seconds. And amazing. Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, our experts are back. They've taken us across the state, but they have 2 more iconic road trips to take us through today. Jennifer and Tracy, I will turn it over to the 2 of you.
Thanks, Corey. Yes, we are in the same room.
We are. It's kind of weird.
It is weird, sorry. My computer was having issues. And so we decided to, we're both vaccinated.
And boosted.
And boosted.
Yes.
And so we're taking a risk just for the sake of the webinar here with you guys.
All right.
Let's bring up the presentation. I think we're going to start with a video. Yep. that's a short glimpse of what Cowboy Corridor can offer, and we will talk more about it right now as we go through along. But just a quick, if you want our contact information, if you have any questions, you want to reach out to us, let us know about your trips that you're planning to take, hopefully in the next year coming up. Our contact information is right here. Jennifer Diaz, Tracy's. We'll be happy to help you, or we're just happy to know when you're here. So if you can let us know if you're planning to visit, that would be nice too. But overall, as Corey mentioned earlier, we had a series of, this is our 5th webinar, road trip webinar, and in each one we've talked about 2 of our road trip itineraries that the state can offer to travelers within the state of Nevada. It's located centrally in the West Coast, so I like to say we're the best of the West Coast because we're so close to California, Idaho, Utah, Oregon, and Arizona. So we can be the center of your starting point if you're even planning to visit neighboring states. But within the state of Nevada, we have 10 road trips, and each one has its own niche characteristics that we have created a thematic story that can be played along with it. And that's what we've talked about. So for this webinar, we'll be talking about Cowboy Corridor, which is are they able to see my mouse?
Can they see the mouse? I don't think they can.
Oh, so it's like the red line that you see at the top of the map. That's Cowboy Corridor and Rubies route. It'd be nice if you can see the mouse.
I know, huh? So if this is the first webinar that you've joined, welcome. But for those of you who have been on these webinars in the past, I just wanted to give another reminder that Nevada is a state of contrast. Of course, we have beautiful Las Vegas, which is that picture you see there with the Bellagio fountains, all the exciting activities and ever-changing opportunities that exist in Las Vegas. But then once you get beyond Las Vegas and our other main metro area of Reno, you get into what is the real Nevada, the real character, the real personalities that make up the state. And I think I'll go out on a limb and say the Cowboy Corridor has some of those kind of American West personalities out of any of the other ones. This is the one that if you're into like the Wild West, this is the road trip that's for you. So happy to talk more about it as we go along.
Okay, yes. Get started. So as Tracy mentioned, it has the most culture-driven. It's the most culture-driven road trip for all of our road trips here. If you are talking logistically, how you're going to start the road trip, you're going to most likely fly into Reno, Nevada. That's where you're going to have your starting point. Reno is going to be your hub for the beginning of the trip, and then you take off. So you're going to go from Reno to Winnemucca. So one of the famous Johnny Cash references in I've Been Everywhere, if you're familiar with the artist, with the songwriter, he mentions Winnemucca and Reno in his song. So it's very catchy to attribute that to our road trip as well. In Winnemucca, you are when you're driving to Winnemucca, you're gonna pass Lover's Lock. So it's kind of like continuing that tradition of locking your love with a chain. I know there's a bridge in Paris, right, where everyone goes and locks their love. Well, there's a plaza in Lovelock where you can lock your love because the town is called Lovelock. That's one of the towns you're gonna pass. So you can go to the plaza, lock your love. I've done a fam trip. We locked our love as a fam group. We locked our love at the lovers. It's still there. So a great souvenir, great way to make a little momentum story. Thunder Mountain Monument, it will be also on your way, which is what we call like part of our Weird Nevada. Has some of that Burning Man art and outdoor. What's the word I'm looking for here, Tracy? Like,
it's kind of a hodgepodge of things that have been found. So this road trip is along I-80. So I-80 is a major interstate. So this road trip was designed to encourage people to take the exits off the road and explore the little towns along the way. So Thunder Mountain is kind of a hodgepodge
of just like random stuff that travelers, if they're going on a road trip or they just have left there and it's been collected, but it's really cool pictures too. And then when you get to Winnemucca, you get to visit the Humboldt Museum, the Buckaroo Hall of Fame. Again, it's all about the Cowboys in this road trip. So
Your mention of Johnny Cash, I wanted to mention too, really quickly. So every single road trip. So this is the last one. These are the last two that we're talking about. That we have a Spotify playlist that on our website that you can go and you can kind of get a feel for the music that you might want to listen to if you're taking the road trips. I'm sure that Johnny Cash one is on that playlist. So just go to travelnevada.com, click on road trips, and then you'll see the playlists that go along with each.
Corey, add that playlist to the follow up.
Yeah, it's fine. They're really, really good.
So like I mentioned, the Humboldt Museum, it's really cool. They have found a lot of dinosaur like bones in this part of Nevada. One of them was even found in someone's backyard. So it adds more to how the history that's involved to this part of the state. And then the Martin is one of the best Basque restaurants that you're gonna find in Nevada. So we definitely recommend to stop there for lunch or dinner. It depends on what time of the day you're good. I think we're only open for dinner actually.
I think so.
Yeah, so you gotta stop for dinner. Delicious Basque food. Basque food is like when you think of Nevada and food wise, you think Basque is what you gotta think of, because that's where our heritage comes from. Or Basque, they were sheep herders. So when they came to Nevada, they actually came first for the gold rush. They were like thinking, oh, we're gonna be part of the whole gold rush deal. And then they realized, okay, this is a little too much hard work for us. Like, this is a lot. This is not making, but everyone's hungry afterwards. So they came and they opened their restaurants, and the miners needed a big plate to eat. So it was just a perfect marriage for Basque food to be nurtured here in the state of Nevada. So again, Martin restaurant is the one that we recommend the most.
Yeah, and you'll find a lot of Basque restaurants all along this road trip. So that's the Martin is one. There's a couple other that we'll talk about when we get down to the town of Elko. But if you've never had Basque food, it's served family style. So everything fills the table. The pecan punch is the drink that accompanies the meal. Have you ever had a pecan punch? I'm sure you have, right?
I have.
Have you had more than one?
No.
No?
No.
So the pecan punch is made of a bitter orange liqueur. There's a splash of brandy in there. There's some bubbly water, and then a floater of lemon. So they say that the second one is what packs the punch. It's the punch and the pecan punch. But it's definitely something that if you come to Nevada, you have to try. It's, like I said, it's the unofficial, drink of our state, and you'll find them at all these Basque restaurants that are kind of along the Cowboy corridor. So as you continue on from Winnemucca, you'll find the town of Battle Mountain. Battle Mountain is known for its outdoor recreation opportunities. There's a lot of ATV trails that if you wanted to, rent an ATV and, from Reno and take it across, this is a great place to do some off-roading. There's also, before you hit the town of Elko, which is the next slide, you'll come across the California Trail Interpretive Center. So like Jennifer mentioned, there were a lot of people who made their way west to hopefully make it rich, strike it rich in the mines. And this center really tells their stories and, the crazy hardship that they had to encounter when they were coming across the United States to, hopefully,
find the gold.
Hopefully make it worth their while and strike it rich in the mines. So it's a really great place to learn the history of the area. This area really does lean into their culture and into their, their Western heritage very, very strongly and celebrate it throughout the year. So definitely a fun place to stop is Battle Mountain.
Yes.
Let's see.
And so Elko, when you get to Elko, that is basically going to be your next big hub for staying the night and kind of getting more deeper into the cowboy culture, like we're mentioning. J.M. Capriola's leather workshop, it's been there for forever for
150 years.
Yeah, it's been there for so long. They make saddles from scratch. Like you can go in there and see them making saddles, making spurs. It's such a great shop. And then you can go to next door to the Garcia Museum. The Garcia spurs are like these spurs to have for being a cowboy. It's like your golden trophy if you have a spur, Garcia spur. And then they have all these pieces beautifully located throughout the museum. And you can actually have an activity for you to learn how to do some leather work. So they'll give you like if you want to get like a bookmark and you can design it yourself. I've done a bookmark. I've done a keychain, little leather strap. I don't know. Have you done any of their workshops?
A keychain is it?
Yeah. So it's a nice hands-on activity, and it teaches you how to appreciate the art of leather, of creating leather work. Another restaurant in Elko that's famous is the Star. That's famous for Basque so food. So I would recommend going and checking out the Star restaurant. The mural walk that you can do throughout the town of Elko, the city of Elko. It tells the history about the cowboy culture that lives in the city, the people of like the community of Elko. Also, if you go to the Northeastern Museum, Nevada Northeastern Museum, there's more artifacts that you can appreciate, not just from the sense of the cowboy culture, but also the bones of the more ichthyosaurus bones that they found throughout that area of Nevada, and hunting. If you're a hunter and you love to hunt, they have a great exhibit of hunting, like old wildlife hunting that a millionaire did throughout his life, and then the family didn't want it anymore, so they donated it to us, and it's a really nice exhibit of hunting and all these crazy animals that I didn't even know existed, some of them. Yeah.
Also, we talked about Basque culture. So Elko also hosts the National Basque Festival every year. So it's a time when all the communities come together and they do dancing and traditional Basque sports, and the food is amazing. So that's held every year in Elko. Elko also is home to the congressionally recognized National Cowboy Poetry Festival held every January. They've postponed it for January 2022, but they're going to have a virtual event. Every year is themed. So in 2021, earlier this year, it was all devoted to the African-American cowboy poet. And it's made up of, it's not just poetry, it's like songs and dancing, and this whole event, this whole festival surrounded of cowboy poetry. It's absolutely, if you find yourself in Northern Nevada in January, it's definitely something that you should check out. All the hotels in the area sell out for it. It's really, really well known internationally. So definitely recommend checking it out. And getting a virtual ticket to next year's event if you're interested in
you don't even have to be in Nevada. You
don't have to be here.
Watch it from Australia.
Yeah. Yes. And I think the theme for 2022 is kind of the resiliency of the cowboy. So kind of we're going through a hard time as a everywhere. So it's talking about how the cowboy has always kind of gone through hardships in their lives, and the resiliency and the kind of the determined spirit of we'll rise again as cowboys is kind of leaning into that sort of theme. So
I think we all need a little bit of that.
I think we do. Yeah. I think we do. So definitely worthwhile. Hopefully Corey puts the link in the chat. I'm watching the chat box. If he doesn't, I
will. So from Elko, you go over to West Wendover, and this it's again not just about cowboys, but also about the nature that's found within this route of Nevada, within this geographic section of Nevada. You are going to be getting close to the famed Bonnie Flats of Salt Flats, which is an area of Nevada where it's truly just plain desert, salt flat desert. And they do a lot of big entertainment in this area as well. So there's concerts happening all the time. And then if you're into wildlife, bird viewing, watching, there's lots of wildlife connected in this part of the road trip. So definitely the one tricky part is West Wendover borders Utah. So then your clock might change. So you might have to keep an eye out on your time, because you're gonna probably be looking at your phone and you're like, wait, it was just 2 o'clock and now it's telling me it's 3 o'clock.
Do you know there's people who come across the border from Utah into Nevada so they could eat dinner earlier? Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. You can make the time work whichever way you want it to work. That is good for you. And then the one stop place that you have to take a picture at, it's next to Wendover Willie. Right.
Yep.
You have to take a picture with him, but it's this 63 feet tall neon cowboy that's like bright in the city, and yeah, you have to take a picture. Like I said, I've yet to take a picture with him. I have to. Didn't have much time to get there when I was there last time, but I will. It's part of my next trip.
19. Oh, it says right there, 19 meters.
Yeah, 19 meters. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm used to feet. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. So these are some pictures of what Jennifer just talked about, the Bonneville Salt Flats, some of the
Angel
scenery
Lake. Yeah.
that you'll see there. All right. And I think that is the end of that road trip.
Yeah, so I think Lara is going to bring up the trivia part for our agents, the 3 questions from that road trip that, again, guys, you're going to have to answer right on the screen. And we'll each take a turn and read one out. And then we're going to jump into the Rubies route, the final of the 10 road trips, and then there'll be questions after that as well. So I'll go ahead and ask the first question. So this congressionally recognized event is held in Elko every January. Is it the rodeo, the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, or the Whitewater Rafting Championships?
Number 2, this is the popular drink served in Northern Nevada Basque restaurants, also said to be the state's unofficial drink. The pecan punch, red wine, or Budweiser.
And I did include a link to where this particular drink was featured in the AU Review, which is a really on-trend digital publication in our part of the world. So check that out as well.
All right. In this town, travelers can place a lock to signify their love for one another.
Kind of does. I'm glad to see everyone is getting that one correct.
I know,
So again, go ahead and answer them right on the screen. We'll wait till about 80% of you have all been able to answer, and then we will move on to the last of the 10 road trips, the Rubies route. And I know, guys, I'm already inspired. So these are the only 2 road trips in Nevada I haven't personally been able to do yet. And I know that I was scheduled to do one, in May when the pandemic all happened, and help one of you host. But we'll get back and maybe bring a few of our friends that are attending today with us. Not too distant future. Cool.
And just so if we have any cowboy, poets or cowboy fans here in the audience, if you're not able to make it to the cowboy poetry in January, I know there's another one that happens here in Genoa, which is part of our Lake Tahoe loop. That one happens later in the year, I believe February or March. There's another one. There's another cowboy. It's not as big as the or the Elko one, but I'm just trying to put it out there in case we don't have any cowboy fans.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll turn it back over to the 2 of you, and you can take us through the Rubies route.
All right.
The Rubies route, it's the Alps of Nevada. That's what we like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just part of Nevada borders the Ruby Mountains. So they're just significantly huge mountains. The Swiss Alps of Nevada, literally 1,524 meters above the valley. And this is the part of Nevada where you can go heli skiing.
Yes, you can.
Or you're camping like you see in the picture right here. But of course, the heli skiing experience is the one that's the most unique to Nevada itself. Not a lot of other destinations can offer that. Mm-hmm. Ruby 360 is the name of the lodge of the company that does the activity for heli skiing. And so if you have any clients that are really good about skiing, first of all, and you want a challenge, I definitely recommend, Tracy just put the link up right now. Definitely recommend giving this a shot because it's a lifetime opportunity. It's a bucket list from, I'm sure, for many skiers. But if not, you can go hiking, you can do yurt camping, you can go fishing. There's a lot of outdoor activity that can be found in this area of Nevada.
Yeah, and you can use Elko as a base camp for this. So you could use it as your, you could, all the accommodations that you can find in Elko, you can kind of use that, town to jump off and go to all these places. So it really is easy in that way that you can kind of, go off and hike, go off and heliski, do all the things, and then come back to your, hotel in Elko. It's really close in proximity that way. The Lamoille Canyon Scenic Byway. So Lamoille Canyon itself was carved by a glacier. So it's really, really beautiful. And there's a scenic drive that you can do around it that is just, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, some of the pictures that we'll show you of the area is just, when you think of like Lake Tahoe, if any of you have ever been to Lake Tahoe, it's more of like the tree covered kind of mountains. This is more of like the jagged, rocky edge kind of mountains. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I like to explain it. So it's just absolutely stunning. And it's not very populated. It's not very busy. So you're going to feel like you have all these trails pretty much to yourself when you are out doing, all the recreation that you like to do. So
and if you have any groups, if you're traveling by groups or organizing any big groups and they want to come do this, we also have a contact that can do cast iron cooking for you out in Lamoille Canyon area, or if you go to let's say at the lodge, he can come up there, and it's like one of a kind type of cooking. It's a great skill that he does. His food is delicious. I highly recommend him.
Such a good memory too, right?
Yes,
like
it
cool.
Just adds to the ambience of being within nature because you can do it outside. Yeah, it's very unique. So if you want to contact, we can definitely share that with you.
Yeah. So some of the hiking that you can find, this picture on the upper left is one of the hikes along the Ruby Crest Trail. You could do the trail itself. It's a big 40+ mile loop, or you could just do day trips out and back. This lake is Angel Lake, correct? Yeah, it's home to about 200 bird species. So if you're into bird watching, this is definitely the place to go. It's protected from the elements. The mountains protect a lot of the, the wildlife from, we get a lot of snow in this area. So it's very protective for a lot of species who make their way here in the winter to, be protected. And then this is, of course, the picture of the heliskiing. You get dropped off by a helicopter. There's also, like Jennifer said, there's a yurt up there that you can stay at for a kind of a once in a lifetime experience. A lot of fun, a lot of great things to do out in this area. It's an outdoor recreationalist paradise for sure.
Oh yes, and then from Elko you can also go to Ruby Lake and Angel Lake. Look at that. And like Tracy already basically said this slide, like you memorized it in advance. But it's 19 kilometers up from I-80, which is the main highway that connects you to this part of nature in Elko, and yeah, like 220 bird species. It's an amazing place. It's really nice to just again be connecting with one, not have to worry about crowds, and yeah.
And if you're into fishing, we didn't mention fishing. So this whole area, like the Rubies route in general, is really, really great if you're into fishing. So this lake in particular, where we'll head to next on the road trip, which is Jarbidge. It's a very little known area that's amazing for fishing. So I don't know if we have any fisher people in the crowd, but fishing is definitely something that is not as known, which again, like, not everybody wants to know where all the fish are, right? So this is kind of our secret to you. Don't tell anyone, but come visit.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to Jarbidge.
Jarbidge is the other small town.
Yeah. So Jarbidge is a really little bitty town. It's very much off the grid. It sits, kind of all up a little bit north of where we're talking about. It's a lot of remote, rugged landscape. It's, as it says here, it's the site of the last American gold rush. And it also has that kind of Wild West charm that you'll find in a lot of these Northern Nevada towns and communities. It has, of course, it draws fish people, off-roaders. There's a lot of beautiful hikes that you can do for, wildlife photography. And it's just a great place to disconnect and get away from it all. This is a place to go. It's very remote.
You only have it goes from 11 to 100. Just depends on the season of
Right.
population. So you're definitely going to be disconnected.
As you can imagine too, there's probably not much, there's not many towns around this area. So the dark sky viewing at night is phenomenal. You'll see, you know, the whole Milky Way, you know, without a telescope. It's just a stunning place to visit. And another big thing that we do in Travel Nevada is we talk about sagebrush saloons. So those are kind of bars and saloons that are part of little communities. So the one that you see here is one that is in Jarbidge. Of course, you'll get to know a lot of the locals, maybe 11 of them. They might all be there at once, you never know. And learn a little bit about why they call that area home. It's really a great way to connect with the community and the people who choose to make it their home. So definitely worthwhile to visit.
And they love visitors.
They do. They do. All of Nevada is very nice in that way of, you know, what are you here for? What are you doing? Let me tell you about, you know, my town or this off the, you know, nobody knows about this. You should go do that. So I definitely recommend striking up a conversation when you're in our state.
And that just gives you a good idea of like charming little town that it is. So you're going to have like back in the old days gas station.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you run out of gas, you're probably going to pay a good penny for it up there.
Yeah.
So I recommend just go up there with a full tank or, you know.
Yeah, we have a whole thing on our website about, you know, recreating responsibly, and a lot of Nevada outside, again, like the whole state of contrasting that we talked about. It's a very remote, so we have a whole page on our website about recreating responsibly and knowing the dirt road code and making sure you have, you know, extra fuel and all the things if you're going to adventure beyond. You know, we have a lot of dirt roads in Nevada, so, you know, some more tips and tricks of what you can do and how you can be prepared if you choose to kind of go out and explore beyond the big towns and cities. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely, if you're into adventure, outdoor adventure, if you just want to kind of get away, this Ruby's route, and enjoy beautiful scenery while you're at it. This is definitely the most, I think, picturesque of them all.
Yeah, it definitely is. Or I know in our previous webinar, we paired burning byway with like Tahoe, but you can actually also pair burner byway with Cowboy Courier and Rubies route. That would be also a good pairing.
That's a good idea.
And then continue, if you know, of course, for our audience, you'll be looking for a international airport to connect to. Mm-hmm. So that would be Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. So that's where you would end up. It's this route pretty much leads you. Then you'll pass the Salt Lake Flats, and then you're in Salt Lake City. Yeah.
It's great you'd said that, Jennifer, because I know a lot of our Aussie market love to come out to Tahoe to ski, especially, you know, in our winter, and ski demand is high at the moment. And they also like to ski in the neighboring state. And this is a great way for a family to travel between the two, you know, between Tahoe and obviously the city and Salt Lake City. So great comment and great multi-day.
And then there is I forgot about it. Now that you mentioned the winter activities. There is a new outfitter, and I can share that contact with you, in Elko that's doing snowmobile tours out in Memorial Canyon. So that would be great information to have. So I'll send that to you, Corey. They just opened their business during COVID. And they're,
all the time. Only up from there. Hey, awesome, guys. We do have the final questions now to have everyone answer in order to be eligible for our prize packs today and our spot prizes. So they're up on the screen now, and there's 3 of them again, this time on the Rubies route. So Ruby Lake National Wildlife Refuge is home to how many species of birds? 15, 220, or 575?
All right, number 2, this town attracts anglers looking to cast for red band rainbow trout, bull trout, and mountain whitefish. Reno, Las Vegas, or Jarbidge?
And then last but not least, this extreme winter sport is offered in the Ruby Mountains. We made it really hard, huh?
So you sure did this time.
It's a holiday gift.
For that adventure skier, that not that that's necessarily the right answer, but that heli skiing product that is available in the Ruby Mountains is quite exceptional. And again, between Tahoe and Salt Lake City. So the one thing I did want to just maybe flag, I have a question for you guys. If anyone else has questions for Tracy and Jennifer, go ahead and pop those into the chat box. But what does Nevada is a Spanish word, right? Did you guys know that?
Yes. Snow-capped.
You know the real, yeah. So what's it mean? Sorry, in
Snow-capped.
snow-capped, which is interesting, right? Because you think of Nevada and you think of snow-capped mountains, but Nevada is the most mountainous state in the U.S. And I think you guys kind of hit on that today, with especially in these routes and obviously with Tahoe as well. But it isn't all desert, hey?
No, not at all.
High desert.
High desert, exactly. But yeah, if there's any, what's that, Trace?
We get a little bit of it all. We
Yes,
get, you know,
we do.
the beautiful like flat desert with the Joshua trees all the way up to, you know, what we're talking about today in the snow-capped mountains of the Ruby Mountains.
And then the Boy Flats.
Okay, cool. If there's any other questions, go ahead and pop those into the chat box. I'm just going to give it about a couple more seconds for you to complete the quiz on the screen and then hit submit. Remember to hit the submit button at the bottom. Okay, as a reminder, so this is, you've now been through the 10 road trips. You know everything on offer, of course, that's on all the 10 iconic road trips across the state, either starting in Vegas or in Reno. And of course, I've included it and will include it tomorrow, but travelnevada.com has the road trips all on their site, including recommended itineraries and drive times, including the Spotify playlists. It is your tool as trade to sell your clients these road trips. And we want to see a lot more, obviously, sales as international travel, really kicks up in 2022. We will be in touch tomorrow and follow up with a link to this recording in case you wanted to share it with any of your colleagues that were maybe unable to attend today. We'll also include the winner of the spot prizes and get in touch so we can get you out your swag prize. And then just a final reminder again that to join us on December the 14th for our final Nevada Road Trips major trivia event, where you're going to use this newfound knowledge and compete against one another for first, second, and third place. There'll be some great prizes up for grabs and a leaderboard after every questions. Lots of thanks coming through. And what we are thrilled about is how many of you are using our webinar series and building product for the marketplace or building blogs for your site. And we truly appreciate it. It's awesome to have Tracy and Jennifer have so much fun while they deliver our presentations. And I think they're a breath of fresh air working together. But yeah, anytime afterwards, you can get in touch with any of the three of us and or our team, and we'd be more than happy to help out with any planning you need. Sound good, team? So thanks, Tracy and Yen.
No, thank you, guys. It was so good. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it really has been.
Amazing. And we are going to conclude today, of course, as we always do, with one final inspirational Travel Nevada video. Take it away, Lar, and we'll see you on the 14th, Trace, again.
If you're ready to hit the road, follow your heart, and find a horizon that hits just right, we know just the place. We are just the place. This is Nevada. A landscape carved by dreams, determination, and a daring sense of adventure. Here, we don't wonder why. We breathlessly ask, what's next? So remember, when the urge to wander strikes, our otherworldly frontier awaits. Come give your rugged soul room to roam in our wilder, opener spaces.